Hello and welcome to another Trackmate review. This week we're doing The House of Quark from DS9. First broadcast 10th of October 1994. Before we go into the review today, I just wanted to say two little things that I read up on online. This is Gowron's first DS9 appearance, which I thought was cool, notable. And even though it has nothing to do with the episode itself, also on this date, Stephen Hawking visited the set during the episode.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Because I suppose it was the third episode of season 3, so it's probably, I think his...
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that, didn't I? Yeah.
No, that's fine. I think his episode on TNG was season 7, so that's probably the same time.
It must have been, yeah.
It coincides because I know they were obviously on different sound stages and whatnot, so he was probably filming TNG and visited the DS9 sets at the same time, so that's a really cool fact.
Yeah, I like that. I thought it was definitely worth mentioning, even though it doesn't feature in the episode, unfortunately, unlike TNG got with him.
Yeah, no, but still very cool. Much props to Stephen Hawking, definitely. Though also, it's the birth of one of my favourite rules of acquisition.
I was going to mention the exact same thing. Yeah. It literally opens the episode like it's my favourite part of the episode is the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You say it.
The 286th rule of acquisition: when Morn leaves, it's all over.
Yeah. They could have just as easily repeated that one on the last season, couldn't they?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
It would have been fitting. Yeah, I'm glad we got that in there.
Yeah, definitely. Now, it starts out with Quark having a bit of a bad time, a bit quiet, because people have been leaving the station due to the issues with the Dominion, where he has only one customer left after Morn leaves. And to his disgust, it's an inebriated Klingon that he wants Shoe on out so that he can close up. At which point the Klingon attempts to attack Quark and has a slight altercation, but in the end falls on his own dagger. So it's like immediately Quark takes up this stance to gain custom that he killed the Klingon in hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, that's right. It increases business, doesn't it? That's his point of view of it.
Yeah, because suddenly he's got an entire array of people waiting to see outside of what's gone on. Though I don't know if you ever noticed this, dude, but when I was getting the screen captures for this episode, there's one guy in the in the crowd waiting outside Quark's who's on the left-hand side, and he's just looking down like he's writing a note on a piece of paper on the desk, not even looking at what's going on.
No, I didn't notice. I'll have to go back and watch that now.
He's just doodling.
Yeah.
And no, but what did you think of the initial premise of the show? Because obviously it stems off.
Yeah, I think it's a very good starting point. Yeah, I think it definitely works.
And to be honest, I always love Quark and Rom's interactions because Max and Armin always work so well together.
Yeah.
And they're so natural together.
Yeah, I agree.
And even in later series when Rom becomes much more of a respected character, he never loses the idiot brother sort of cycle that Quark gives him.
Yeah, I do love their relationship. Yeah, the way that Quark loves to look down on him, but even in the last season, he becomes the Nagus, doesn't he, Rob? Mm-hmm. But he still loves him.
He does love him in one of the only ways that Ferengis can.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, he could just push him aside and say, I'm not bothered about you anymore. But he loves his brother, and I think that's great. Even through 7 seasons of Quark being an arsehole, basically, to his brother.
Oh, definitely.
Non-stop. Yeah.
Definitely. And no, I did like this. Obviously, Quark then gets warned by Odo that the person that he killed was somebody of power.
Mm-hmm.
At which point he gets visited by at which point
Odo knows, doesn't he? He knows, like, your story is crap. Like, are you sure you want to carry on with that story? Because you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Oh yeah, because that's the thing. I was always surprised that if Quark's making this claim that he didn't face any sort of charges from Odo for accidentally killing the guy, but saying that
I think it's because it was self-defense, isn't it? Like, he knows he's going to get away with it with Odo because it was self-defense.
and also I think the laws on Deep Space Nine are probably slightly more cowboy than what they would be on Earth nowadays.
It's Odo's justice, isn't it? What Odo sees to be justice, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But as you said, Odo can read that it's absolute bullshit.
Yeah, definitely. He's just trying to give him the chance to say that, but Quark's more concentrated on business and knows that his little stories are going to sell some more drinks.
Yeah, exactly. And after finding out that the guy that he had killed was in power, in some form of power, he was visited by Kozak. He was visited by Kozak's brother, Dagor, and he was threatened to basically not dishonour the family name and to make sure that people knew that it was that he died in honourable combat. But
at that point, we don't realise that he has a ulterior motive.
No, not at all.
At that point.
Not at all, because up until that point, you would think that that's a perfectly reasonable thing for a Klingon to want a Quark, because you wouldn't want the house to be in dishonour.
You think that at that point Kozak Degar actually cares about his brother, but you find out later that he doesn't.
No, he doesn't at all. All he wants is to gain power from. He wants to gain the assets that Kozak had been in his house, so that he could take them for himself, because he had been basically banished from the family because of dishonour or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, Quark is then visited by Grilka. And Grilka's a character.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love Grilka.
Yeah.
From the moment you meet her, she's coming at Quark, daggers are flying, and soon realises like this is the petty, the Ferengi that killed Kozak. It doesn't wash.
Yeah. Yeah, she finds out the truth soon enough, a lot sooner than everybody else, doesn't she?
She does, and instantly beams him onto her ship and takes him to Kronos.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, at no point in the show, I was surprised no one missed Quark.
Yeah.
At no point in the side story, you've got Bashir.
I was going to say, are we even going to
about
mention that the side story, that the B story, as they say on this show, or not? Because it's so.
We can mention it very briefly, though it's very uneventful.
Well, I was going to say, when I was watching this show, House of Quark, like, I just had JD and Fez in my head from In the Wilderness.
Yeah.
Because they hate Keiko.
Yeah.
And the B story largely focuses on Keiko's.
The school closed.
Yeah, the school's closed.
The school's closed, and she's bored, basically.
She's fed up, she's bored.
Because she came along to DS9 so that Miles could pursue this career move.
Uh-huh.
And now she's stuck with nothing to do other than to look after her plants.
So she's generally moping around, and she's only got a few plants in the apartment or whatever, and Miles tries to cheer her up by taking them. Sorry, I don't know how to put that. Miles tries to cheer her up by giving her a good time.
That's it. He does his husbandly duties
Yeah, gives
to
her a
cheer her
nice
up.
dinner. You know, does whatever he does in the bedroom, rolls his sleeves up all the way.
Yeah.
But then that doesn't last long.
No, that's the thing. Her happiness did not even last past 8 a.m. So
Exactly,
he
yeah.
wasn't that attentive.
Should we get our B story out of the way now,
I
so that we
think
can
I think so.
concentrate on the A story? Okay,
So yeah, let's get it out of the way. Keiko's unhappy. Miles goes to Cisco, wants to create
what do you call it?
like a hydroponics bay.
I can't think what you call it.
Basically,
Atrium is
an atrium. That's right.
Something
Wanted
like
to create
that.
an atrium. Bashir says it's a bad idea. Then he ships her off
Do you know
to
what?
Beijing
I
for
did
6
wonder when I was
months.
watching that scene. You know when Bashir says like, "Oh, you could do that, but that'll make her happy for a couple of months,
Yeah.
and then she'll want something else." He might have been right. He could have been right, knowing Keiko, but I had to wonder when I was watching that: is that just because of the relationship that Bashir wants to have with Miles at that point? Like,
I'm
fuck
assuming-
Keiko, don't worry about her. It's just us.
I'm
It's me and you. Think of the bromance.
I'm assuming it's a little bit of column B in
Yeah.
there of like, look, she would really like this job.
Just
Then-
send her to Bayshore. She'll be fine.
You can visit her at weekends.
Yeah.
That's it. If you miss her that much, you can jump on a shuttlecraft and be there for the evening with her.
He was
then be
very
back in the
quick
morning.
to suggest that, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was. And to every viewer's delight, Keiko is then shipped off for 6 months.
Yeah. And even though we're joking about it, I think everybody loves watching the bromance between those two later on. It doesn't really happen in this episode, but
Yeah,
everybody would rather watch the bromance between those two
than Keiko.
anything. Yeah, anything Keiko. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think so. And yeah, so that's B story out the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Job
We
done.
won't revisit that at all now. Good.
Yeah, I'm glad. Now, back to the A story, which
Yeah,
for me is a lot of humour in there with the interactions between Quark and Krilka.
Definitely.
Because to save the family's name from dishonour, Grilka marries Quark, hence making the family the House of Quark.
Yeah.
At which point we get to see our first appearance of Gowron in DS9. And Gowron's expressions of disgust are always some of the finest.
Yeah. You got to love Gowron's eyes.
Yeah, the crazy eyes. I think I've got a
Yeah.
good screen capture of one of them whilst he's looking at a pad.
Good.
That I'm sure we should make a meme out of at some point.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we will. Yeah. Probably before this goes out.
Yeah, more than likely. So Quark agrees to marry Grilka under the under basically, if he
I'm not sure
doesn't,
if he
then
does,
she'll.
does he? I think they just do it.
No,
I think she just does it, doesn't she?
yeah, but I think that guy is like an ordained minister or whatever, like a version of an ordained minister for like whatever Klingons have. Because that's it. If it's as easy to divorce as giving them a smack and spitting on them, Christ, there would be divorces left, right, and centre
Yeah, I'm sure.
going on at the moment. But still, yeah, and I think up until this point, I think the interactions are quite fun.
Definitely,
Quite fun.
yeah. Yeah, it's a funny episode, definitely.
It is, and one of my favourite. I forgot to say earlier. One of my favourite parts is how Quark reacts to things. Like after getting threatened by Dagor, Dagor turns around and tells him "Kapla," and Quark just reacts with
Yeah.
just
I
like,
noticed that
I'm
as well.
shitting myself.
Yeah.
And then later on is Quark's
Are you going to say that classic quote? What he gives?
Oh,
Save that one. Are you talking about the
no,
battle scene?
I'm saving that one.
Yeah.
But I'm saving that one. But when he says Kapla later, when he's leaving to Grilka, and he's just like, same to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because Quark is very much a Ferengis are like hated by the Klingons. They just think that they're scum with no
Yeah.
honor,
Yeah.
which is why when
They have no similarities, do they? Really?
no, not at all. Do you want to explain what happens next? We want to try and keep this pace going.
Yeah. Sure. Where are we?
Quark discovering the financial like the manipulations by Dagor.
Yeah. Sure. So next in the story, Quark decides to. He offers to Grilka basically to look into their financial records, which at first she's disgusted by.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously he's onto a good thing there because he realizes what's his name,
Dagor, yeah.
They even describe him as being he's like a Ferengi. I think she says that Grilka, doesn't she?
Yes.
Because that's what he's been doing for years is and screwing the family over financially.
Yeah. Basically, just pilfering off what they've got.
Yeah. Yeah. So Quark actually serves a purpose here and actually helps her out.
That's it. The Ferengi way wins through, as it were.
Yeah, yeah. So Klingons and Ferengi are actually coming together in a cool way.
And what I love about this interaction is I can't remember the exact quote, but Grilka's so happy with Quark, and she just starts laughing and smiling at him, and she basically says, "Because you've done this so well, I'm not gonna break your hand that's on my thigh."
Something like yeah. Yeah.
And just that interaction between the two of them I found quite amusing.
Definitely.
Quite amusing. And also, at this point, Quark then presents the information to the Klingon Council. At what point, having the Klingon Council standing there confused at pads with basically discussing
Garrod
finances.
just doesn't want to know, does he? He's just like, what? Really?
But he does.
I can't be bothered with this.
But he trusts Quark's estimation. Like, he's going to take Quark's word for it.
Yeah.
Because he sees that there's proof.
All this. Yeah.
But Dagor absolutely refuses this. Then, at this point,
challenges him
to a fight to the death.
Yeah.
At what point, Quark shits himself, basically.
Yeah. And you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If you were in his position.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I'm sure we've all been in that position at some point in our life.
Yeah. I think this is the scene, what we were talking about earlier, where he has a classic quote.
Yes.
Quark, which I'll let you say.
You sure? You don't want to go for it?
Nah, it's cool. You go for it.
Yeah, no, because at this point, Quark does walk out on Grilka, leaving her in the lurch.
For a very short time.
For a very short time.
Rom comes down, doesn't he?
Yes.
As if to save him and say, let's go back home. But then Quark talks himself out of it as if it's Rom doing it, but it's not Rom doing it. He's doing it all himself. And then he just suddenly appears back in the Great Hall? What would you call it? Council room? Something like that.
Yeah, the Great Hall, is it? The Great Hall?
Like that.
Yeah, no, because just before that, when Rom got introduced, he had basically been brought in by Dagor to prove that Quark was lying.
Yeah, I forgot that bit, yeah.
Yeah, he had been to prove that Quark had been lying and that it was an accident, and as such, the assets should be in disrepute anyway.
Which I think, in fairness, that was probably just because Rom wanted to get Quark out of there and bring his brother home.
I was under the impression that Ron was probably brought there under duress. I don't think he would have
maybe
come
a bit
with
of
his...
both.
Yeah.
He's obviously scared for his own life, but obviously he doesn't want Quark to die either.
No, exactly. Yeah, if he's told that his brother's going to have to go in hand-to-hand combat, then he's going to
he knows he's got
tell
no
the
chance.
truth.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, so that's why Rom's there. But as you said, Quark is more trying to convince himself that he doesn't care about Grilka than he is than he is actually speaking for Rom.
That's what's cool about that character, I think, through the whole 7 series is like, we know him as this greedy guy who just wants money, latinum, but he does have a heart, he does have a conscience, and this episode is one of them that shows that.
He does, and I think it's in one of the later episodes, maybe around season 4 or 5, where he describes the Federation as having made him soft.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he does describe that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So Quark then enters the Great Hall after leaving Grilka hanging for a little while. And
as far as she's concerned, he's not coming back.
No, he's not coming back. And he presents himself to the council as, I am Quark, son of Keldar. And I've come to fight Dagor, son of whatever.
Yeah. I absolutely love that line. That's got to be my second favourite line of the episode.
It is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
It's
like even if I die in 2 minutes' time, I've gone out saying that line.
Yes, exactly. But he plays the best card that he can, because you think that he's going to fight to the death, but no, really. He takes a knee and says, "If you want to, this is this is basically an execution. I have no chance." So he throws aside his bat'leth and says, "Then you'll have to execute me, and it will be an unhonourable killing." That's right.
Yeah, I think it's really good writing. It's a cool moment.
Definitely, and Gowron instantly stops Dagor from killing Quark, because it is, and it proves Quark's point that Dagor has no honour.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, Quark has already won by that point in a way.
Because all he needed to do was prove that Dagor wasn't as honourable as what he had mentioned. So he had won by this point. At which point we do get satisfied. At which point we see Quark and Grilka as they're parting ways with a passionate kiss. Which is quite different from their kiss earlier in the show.
Oh, before that though, I was going to ask you, have you ever seen a show, an English show called The Mighty Boosh on BBC?
Yes.
Well, once Quark proves his point to the Klingon Council, Gowron is the first of the Klingons to turn his back.
Yes.
And then the whole Klingon Council turn their back.
It's how they've always done it in TNG when they they done it to Worf.
But like the whole scene, just reminded me of the Mighty Boosh. What's the character's name? The genie.
I can't remember.
But he did that all the time. Whenever he was disappointed in anyone, he'd go, "I'm gonna have to turn my back on you," and they just play some little music like. I've forgotten the guy's name now. What's his name?
I don't know, dude. I can't remember.
Yeah, sorry, I had to mention that, even though I can't remember the guy's name now.
No.
It just made me laugh, the way they all do that, like one after the other. We're going to have to turn our back on you.
Might have to do that with whenever anyone gets an incorrect answer on the Family Fortunes game.
Yeah. Yeah, I can think of a few times in life where I would have liked to have done that, with a little theme tune going on.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Gonna have to turn my back on you.
Oh,
sorry, yeah, you were at the snog.
Yeah.
Grilka.
Yeah. So, and which is pretty much the end of the episode.
Yeah. basically, they have a little snog because she's obviously grateful to Quark for what he's done. But what we don't realise is that's the beginning of their little mini ceremony to get a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
So she snogs him and then slaps him and says a couple of words, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's the wrong way round. She slaps him, spits on him to get a divorce, and then embraces him for a kiss as a thank you afterwards.
Even better, yeah. I'm sure I'll be happier with it in that way around. But I think the very last scene of the episode is Quark is back in DS9 in his bar,
mm-hmm.
and business has dropped again,
mm-hmm.
and it's just him and Rom at the bar, and it's Rom asking to hear the story of the battle in the Klingon hall.
And Quark says, "Well, no one wants to hear that story again."
That's right, but then Rom says, "I do, brother. I want to hear it." Which is that love again. Rom loving his brother, and even though he knows what Quark is about to say is pretty much,
it's
90% bullshit. Yeah, he still loves his brother, and it was impressed with what he did, and is happy for the embellishment of what he's about to give.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good ending.
I thought it was. Yeah, it was rounding it up pretty much. Exactly. It was bookending to the exact same point that they were at the beginning. But now with a bustling bar, but at the same point, just that love and admiration from Rom as well.
Yeah, I think it's very nice. Yeah, it's a nice ending to the episode. It's a tiny bit of character building for Quark, showing that Quark has a heart.
mm-hmm.
Rom, he loves his brother.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very memorable episode, is what I've said to you before we came on tonight. It's a memorable episode. It's a nice little episode, a funny episode.
Definitely. When I was talking to one of our listeners, Stephen Taylor, hi Stephen.
Hello.
About this episode today, he said that it's one of the episodes that he thinks he looks back on more fondly and has more nostalgia about the episode than he does actually enjoying the episode.
Yeah, I'd agree with him.
Yeah? So,
yeah. When you suggested to review this episode for YouTube, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. And when I watched it, it wasn't everything I remembered it to be, but as I've said tonight, it is a very memorable episode, no matter how action-packed it is or isn't.
No, and I personally absolutely love this episode. I think it's got a very special place in Star Trek history. And I think that pretty much wraps up this episode's review. So, if you don't agree with us, if you have thought of things that we've missed out on, leave them in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts, or even tweet us at TrekMate1701, or join us on our Facebook group, facebook.com/trek.mate.1. We love chatting to you guys, so it'd be great to hear your thoughts on the episode as well. So remember to do all of the YouTubes and favourite, like, and subscribe, and we would love to hear from you guys.
Well, thanks for joining us for another TrekMate review this week. I've been Jude Hawkins.
I've been Wayne Emery, and that is TrekMate.